Hi, Pumpkin. It's me, your dad. This is volume 5 of our series, Hi, Pumpkin, where I try to give you respectable fatherly advice that you can take and listen to again and again, and hopefully develop from an awesome girl into a super strong, more awesome woman. So, today we're going to talk about something a little bit more serious, and this is hard because you're getting a little older and these things are going to start popping up. So, we might as well start talking about this now. We're probably going to have this talk a lot as the years go on, but I wanted to have something kind of that you can go back to again and again with my thoughts on this. We're talking about drinking and we're talking about drug use. Now, obviously, you know I drink because you live with me. And I don't drink a ton. Um, and it's easy to say, hey, don't drink. And frankly, I'd like it a little better if you didn't for a bunch of reasons. I mean, we come from, uh, there's addiction in our family, there's alcoholism in our family. While there's a lot of fun that goes along sometimes with drinking, there's a lot of ugly downsides as well. And it has to really be done thoughtfully. And in your age group, it's tough because sometimes your friends are doing it and people are trying to drink to excess to get as drunk as they can. And it looks like they're having a great time and they're doing stuff. And then wacky stuff happens and they black out or they try to get behind the wheel or they do things they probably shouldn't or people try to take them further sexually than they want to go. There's a lot of downsides. So I would ask if you're going to engage in this, you do it thoughtfully. I know it's hard to tell a teenager to do anything thoughtfully, but you're like super smart, and I think you can actually handle that piece. Um, don't ever drink fast, is the other thing. Don't do shots, don't shotgun stuff, because the whole idea of overloading yourself with alcohol is to get you quickly intoxicated, and then you go from intoxicated to blackout, and then typically that's when bad things really start to happen. So I really want you to be careful with alcohol. I mean, a glass of wine with dinner is nice. Sometimes a cold beer on a hot day. I love a martini. Um, and you'll kind of figure this out as you go on. I just want you, as you're doing this, to be very careful. Now, with drugs, I'm radically different. I was a narcotics agent. I've been a cop for a long time. I've worked in corrections for a long time as a deputy sheriff. There are a lot of ugly things that go along with drugs. Now, you don't understand. You don't want us to have fun. You don't know what it's like. I just want to get high and have a good time. Like, no, it's not that I don't want you to have fun. I want you to have more fun than any human that's ever lived. I want you to have so much fun, they make a movie about you to show the rest of the world this is how fun is had. But man, when you cross the line into the drug world, really bad stuff can happen. Uh, there's a lot of violence associated with the drug world. Like, oh no, I'm just going to go buy a little weed from my friend, and yeah, but you don't know what your friend's doing. You don't know what money he owes somebody else, and you may be going to get your little bit of weed, and that's the time his suppliers come in to either wrap him up and roll him up, or someone else is coming to rob him. There's a ton of ugly violence and death that goes along with the drug trade, and it goes on all over the place. Uh, the other thing I hear like, oh, it's natural. Well, so is cyanide, so is rattlesnake poison, so is all manner of things that are terribly deadly and bad for you. And just because it's natural or it's a plant doesn't necessarily make it good for you or make it safe. I always, I've talked a bunch of times to high school kids and junior high kids, and they look at you like, oh, this big bald cop, what is he going to tell me? But there's some things I want you to consider. Right? So if you had a headache and I sent you to the store to buy some Advil, and you grabbed them, went to the checkout line, checked out, got home, I went to take them, and the flap on the box isn't glued down. Well, that's odd. And you take the bottle out, and there's no wrapper around the top. That's unusual. The top pops right off. There's no foil film under that. There's no cotton under that. And about half the Advil are gone. And the Advil you see in there, or the things you think are Advil, are a different color than they normally are. Are you going to take any of that? And I'm thinking 100% no, because you don't know what that is. You don't know who made that. You don't know. There's a million I don't knows. You're absolutely not going to take any of that. And I need you to be as smart as that when you're considering putting other substances in your body. Like, oh no, this is cocaine, or it's just a little bump of meth, or oh, heroin. You have no idea what's gone into this. You have no idea what it is. Fentanyl's laced into everything these days, which is super dangerous and is killing people all over the country. It's scary, and I'd rather you just stay away from that and steer clear from it. And it's hard sometimes. I get it. Like I said, I've got family members who have addiction issues that I don't know that I've even told you about because I don't want you to think ill of some of your cousins and uncles and aunts and other folks who are related to us because they're good people who are struggling. I know a ton of addicts. I've worked with a ton of addicts over the years, and I don't know that there's anything worse in the world than being addicted to drugs and when you can't get off it. Man, it destroys your life. It destroys your relationships. It's so hard. And when you ask these people, God, if you could go back and just skip those first couple of times, would you do it? Oh my God, I'd give anything for that. My life would have been so different if it wasn't for methamphetamine. My life would have been so different if it wasn't for heroin or if I didn't get addicted to OxyContin. I want good stuff for you, honey. And I need you to be strong. And sometimes it's hard to say no in the moment, and I get it. Sometimes people you like and you trust, oh, just take a little bit. Take a little half a pill of ecstasy. It's a Molly. It's got a funny name. It'll make you feel great. Everyone else is doing it. And that's tough sometimes. But I need you to love yourself more than that. When people are typically trying to give you drugs, there's two things they want. It's not because they're really cool and they want you to experience this. Hey, I want you to be high and feel really good. Or I want to get you to feel drunk and feel really good. I want your money or I want your body. The only thing I'd add in there is sometimes your mind. What do I mean? Uh, there's no such thing as any free drugs. Sometimes at the beginning, just to get you hooked. But once you are hooked, you just can't come and say, hey, I need some more. Because you either have to give up sexual favors, which is traumatic as hell and not good for anybody, or money. And most of the time it's money. And then where are you going to get this money? Typically, you end up stealing it. And you steal from everyone you know and everyone you love, and you alienate everyone you know and love. You get arrested a bunch of times. It's terrible. Or they want, hey, you're a good looking girl. And there are predators out there who are going to want to do things to you that you want nothing to do with because hey, I don't feel that way about you. But if you don't have control of your mind because of drugs and or alcohol, it's way easier to get you to do things that you may not want to do or to get you to where you're passed out. And then I can do things to you. So again, it's easy to say, oh, just say no. Like, oh, yeah, thanks, old man. That's a big help. But boy, you really avoid a lot of stuff when you steer clear of drugs. And I know it's hard. I know the state we live in is awash in drugs. But love yourself enough for that. And I want to finish with this: is have some courage on this. And courage, what? It takes courage to say no to people and stuff. It takes courage to say no. I'm just gonna. It's not for me. And I always kind of I'm the king of threes. Like I always worried that one, I'd either get hopelessly addicted to any drug I tried the first time I tried it. I'd immediately go on a bad trip and die, or I would get like hopelessly addicted and it'd be all bad. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I already said that one. The first one, I would get arrested and have to go to jail forever or something like that. And I know the laws have changed and that's not the case, but none of those things were good. And I couldn't think of anything that felt so good that I'd be willing to risk all that. So, the other courageous piece is when your friends are doing stuff. Like if you see a friend kind of going down a bad path with dope or with booze, you're going to need to talk to them. And that's tough too sometimes because nobody wants to hear like, hey, you've lost a ton of weight and you're looking frazzled and what's going on? And you stole some money out of my purse. And sometimes you have to go beyond your friend. You have to be courageous enough to tell people, whether that be a parent, a teacher, something else, I don't know. But try to get them the help that they need. The other thing is when you're at parties sometimes, there are people you don't know there, but people get really drunk or really high and do things and they hurt themselves. And nobody wants to get in trouble and nobody wants to tell and everyone just leaves. And boy, if someone had just dialed 911 when that person passed out or when they fell and, it looks like they broke their neck. If someone had dialed 911 then, you maybe could have saved their life and maybe could have prevented a tragedy. Uh, God, even if you pick up a phone and just dial 911 and leave it off the hook, like a house phone if they have it there, just so the cops come out and say, hey, or call and say there's a medical emergency. That takes courage, But boy, would you rather risk, oh my gosh, my friends are going to think I'm this because I didn't call because my other friend was dying? Or am I going to carry around for the rest of my life that I let them die and did nothing because I was scared? And I just got back in my car and left the party. And I cried at the funeral. I did all this stuff, and I'm never going to be able to tell anyone that because I didn't have the courage to do that. I expect more of you. You know who you are. You're a strong woman. So be courageous and stuff like that. So there's a lot of ways to have fun. Um, you don't really need drugs or alcohol. If you're going to have a little booze, but boy, please, honey, stay away from the bad stuff. Stay away from the hard stuff because once it gets a hold of you, there's no letting go. And I mean, there's no one stronger on the planet, in my opinion, than a recovered drug addict because they have this devil that's on their shoulder every day forever. And if you can avoid getting that devil on your shoulder to begin with, you're going to be way ahead. So I love you. I think you're wonderful. You look great today. It's good to see you. And I look forward to another talk soon, baby.